All right.
Good afternoon, guys. This afternoon we're going to go over customs and traditions and how they can relate to different cultures. So, before we start, see we have the word custom and tradition here on the board. Do either of you know anything about customs or traditions? John?
Well, is a tradition like something you do every year?
Good. Yeah. That's definitely part of culture. Sometimes traditions can be things that are done yearly, daily, monthly, or maybe just something that you do, like you eat or something. Kirk, you have any ideas?
It's like a ritual, maybe?
It's a good word to use. Very good word to use. Good vocabulary.
Yeah. Okay. So we kind of have an idea of what both of these words are.
If we're just going to take a second here, I need you guys to pull out a piece of loose leaf paper, and we're going to have you guys write down some of your own cultures and traditions independently. Just take a couple minutes.
We're writing down our traditions?
Yeah, just
write down some cultures and traditions of your own.
try to get three. Try to get three traditions or customs. If you can't think of three, then maybe just jot down what you think each of these words mean in your own words.
Great examples.
What do you got so far?
Am I on the right track?
Yeah, that's a good one. Two family traditions.
Am I on the right track, Mr. Kosh?
Yep, definitely good things. Like how specific you are.
I got some really good examples in here.
When you've got three, put your head down. Let us know when you're done. Take your time, John. Good? Okay.
Very good work. Now we are going to read a passage that might change your opinions on some cultures and traditions. First, me and Mr. K are going to read this aloud to you, and we want you to follow along as we read it aloud. And then we're going to pair up into groups, and we're going to do some other strategies to help us to comprehend this.
All right. So everyone paying attention. Customs and traditions. Native American Indian groups in North America lived in different cultural regions, each of which developed its own customs and traditions. A custom is the specific way in which a group of people does something. This can include how foods are prepared, what clothing is worn, the kinds of celebrations, and much more. The set of customs developed and shared by a culture over time is a tradition.
A culture's customs are often determined by the natural resources found in their environment. In the desert southwest west region, cloth weaving developed as a custom. The area has fewer large animals whose skins can be used for making clothing or blankets. Cloth weaving was a way of meeting a need for clothing without using animal skins. In the eastern woodlands area, however, hunting and fishing were daily activities. Since it was easy to get animal skins, developing skills like weaving was less important.
The traditional roles of men and women in the native tribes varied as well. In hunting cultures, men were often away from home during the day to hunt animals for food. Women did many chores around the village while they were gone. In cultures where crops were grown, it was usually the men who tended to them.
Folklore was an important part of all Native American cultures. They had no written language. Telling the tribe's stories orally was the way they preserved them from generation to generation so they would not be lost. The tribe used chanting, storytelling, and singing as a way to remember the tribe's folklore. These stories told the tribe's history, funny adventures, and accomplishments. Folklore also helped unite the people of the tribe.
Religion was an important part of Native American cultures. The celebration of the tribe's faith and worship often involved special ceremonies. Harvest ceremonies were a common way to give thanks to the tribe's gods for a good crop. Other ceremonies combine religious songs and dances with social activities. The ceremonies reinforce the people's trust in their leaders' ability to provide for their needs.
All right, so now what we're going to do is pair you guys up, and we want you to take turns reading to one another to help you to comprehend what we just read. So we're going to have 1, you're going to be number 2. First, 1 is going to read it aloud, and 2, I want you to make sure you're listening very carefully, and if John stumbles over any words, I want you to make sure you help him sound those out. Then we're going to switch roles, and you're going to read out loud, and you're going to make sure that you're paying attention and helping him with any struggling words, okay?
Make sure, while you guys read, that you take note of the vocabulary words which are bolded in the passage. So they're going to be important after when we go over some of these questions at the end. So go ahead, John, you can start.
Native American Indian groups in North America lived in different cultural regions, each of which developed its own customs and traditions. A custom is the specific way in which a group of people does something. This can include how foods are prepared, what clothing is worn, the kinds of celebrations, and much more. The set of customs developed and shared by a culture over time is a tradition.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. I thought we were reading the whole thing. A culture's customs are often determined by the natural resources found in their environment. In the desert Southwest region, cloth weaving developed as a custom. The area has fewer large animals whose skins can be used for making clothing or blankets. Cloth weaving was a way of meeting the need for clothing without using animal skins. In the eastern woodlands area, however, hunting and fishing were daily activities, and so it's easy to get animal skins. Developing skills like weaving were less important.
The traditional roles of men and women in the native tribes varied as well. In hunting cultures, men were often away from home during the day to hunt animals for food. Women did many chores around the village while they were gone. In cultures where crops were grown, it was usually the men who tended them.
Folklore was an important part of all Native American cultures. They had no written language. Telling the tribe's stories orally was the way they preserved them from generation to generation so they would not be lost. The tribe used chanting, storytelling, and singing as a way to remember the tribe's folklore. The stories told the tribe's history, funny adventures, and accomplishments. Folklore also helped unite the people of the tribe.
Religion was an important part of Native American cultures. The celebration of the tribe's faith and worship often involved special ceremonies. Harvest ceremonies were a common way to give thanks to the tribe's gods for a good crop. Other ceremonies combined religious songs and dances with social activities. The ceremonies reinforced the people's trust in their leaders' ability to provide for their needs.
Good, very good, both of you.
Right now, we want you guys to work together. There's 5 questions on the side of the passage that you just read that correspond to what you just read. So in order to make sure that you understood what you read, we want you to answer those questions together. You can work as a group, and then in a couple minutes, we're going to go over them.
And obviously, remember, if you can't remember the answer right away, just from reading the question, go back in the passage, try to find the answer within, and then write your answer down, and we'll go over it in a minute.
You see where the custom answer is right
Yeah.
there? Specific way.
How's this group making out? Good so far?
Better than the other ones.
Okay, good.
Seeing a lot of good teamwork here.
What are the ways that Native Americans told their stories?
Where is that answer? Oh. What is the storytelling? Oh, chanting?
Oh,
Is that
telling the tribe stories orally was the best way.
chanting?
So chanting, storytelling, and kind of singing.
You all right?
Contrast, we could learn about this. How are they different?
guys good?
Yeah.
Alright, good. Good work. Way to work together. Alright, well, before we go over as a class, I need 2 volunteers to to come and show me where the southwest desert region of the United States is and where the eastern woodland region is. So who would like to do the, you would like to do the southwestern desert? Please come up and show us where it is on our map up here.
Remember, a region is just a large area.
Yep, southwestern desert region of the United States.
I would say it's somewhere in this area.
Maybe just a little lower. Yep, right below the Rocky Mountains there. Good. Right in here, great job. All right, so that is the southwest desert, the desert southwest region that is talked about at the beginning of the passage. And it also mentions Native Americans from the eastern woodlands. So, John, you want to come and show us where that might be?
Yeah, sure. You want to the eastern woodlands?
Eastern woodlands.
I would go with the-
So remember, east would be
Yeah, I got
on
that.
your right, okay.
So, those big mountains, pick up in around here.
Yeah, so I'd say eastern part of the United States, and up in here, with it's all, yeah. on the eastern coast, yeah, it's all wooded area, especially up here, up a little north, right in through here would be the eastern woodlands, so,
Good. Just think about where we live,
yeah.
right? We're in the east, we have woods around us.
So
Great
good job, guys.
Thanks.
All right, so now that we know where the passage was talking about, we're going to go over the answers. So we're going to start with your group for number 1. What is a custom? And keep in mind, as you answer, how did maybe your answer differ from before you read the passage and we asked you the same question at the beginning of class? So John, what is a custom?
A custom is a specific way in which a group of people does something.
Great answer, very good, right from the passage. Does that remind you of what you wrote down for custom when you wrote down your initial ideas?
Yeah, pretty similar.
Very
It's
good,
like the same way my family does some things, or certain customs.
very good.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to stay with your group for number 2. What are the ways that Native Americans told their stories? Kurt, you want to go for this one?
Well, they told them orally through chanting, storytelling, and singing.
Very good. Good. Also, right through the passage. So good. You found it in the passage. You applied it to your answer. Good job. Okay. Number 3.
Go with this group.
Yeah, we'll go with this group again. Contrast what you have learned about the historic Native American cultures and what you know about your own culture. How are they different? Either one of you.
Well, certainly the way we told our story, they can't say my family was chanting or
Okay, good.
folklore.
Good.
The clothing worn. We don't weave clothes, or my family doesn't weave clothes.
Okay, so John heads over to Macy's to get his clothes rather than
Making them yourself.
making them yourself. Good.
Very good.
So very different today than maybe back then. Good. Kurt, did you have anything else for that one, or are we good to move on?
Well, I think that towards the bottom here it mentions their religious ceremonies. I think they involve dance more than my religion does.
Okay,
Could you
yeah.
think of a ceremony maybe where we do dance?
Weddings?
Good example,
Yeah,
that's a compare,
absolutely.
that's something that's similar, right? We have
Yeah.
a lot of contrast.
Everyone likes to dance, so that's good. Number 4.
Might as well stay with this group.
Yeah, we'll
This
stick-
group, number 4, in your own words, explain the importance of folklore. So could one of you tell me what folklore is first?
Folklore was an important part of all Native American cultures because they had no written language.
Good.
So it was a way to tell their stories.
Good, it's just a way to tell their stories. They kept their stories alive because they had no written language. So, can you explain the importance of that, why that might be important?
It allowed their history to not be forgotten.
Very good.
Perfect.
We have books that we get to use in our history classes, but back then they had no written language, so they needed to spread things by word of mouth.
Yep.
Very good work.
Very good. And last but not least, number 5, explain why some tribes developed weaving.
Might as well stick with this.
Kurt.
Well, it says here in the passage that some of the in the desert Southwest region, they used it because they didn't have animals to skin.
Okay. So yeah, there were no large animals in the area to skin, and what would they use the skin for?
They would use that for clothing.
For clothing and blankets. Good.
Good, so they had
Good,
to
very
make their
good.
own by weaving. Very good. All right, so we want you guys to work together again for just a couple more minutes and think about how your ideas may have changed from the beginning when you thought about your independent customs and traditions, and compare them with each other. And we're gonna ask you, each group, to present to the class some cultures and traditions that they have in their families.
Let's try to jot down at least two unique cultures and traditions to your family.
We already did that. Didn't we already write
Yeah,
it?
you're gonna present to the class. Then tell them about a specific tradition, maybe something we'll have in common.
I go to the Pancake Speedway here Friday in the summer. I go to the Mets game with my dad, and I go to TGI Fridays on Wednesday.
Half price, half
I really don't like that place. I take baby aspirin.
Hey.
Are yours similar to mine? Can I hear yours?
Mine are more traditional, like second Sunday mass on Easter, eating turkey for Thanksgiving.
Well, I go to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving. That's similar, kind of.
How's this group
I
doing?
also have turkey on Thanksgiving.
We're doing,
Sounds like you guys have some things in common, some traditions, right?
yeah.
All right, do you want to start with this group? We'll start with this group, and we're going to ask that you come up and just share a tradition with the class, something that you guys had in common that you found. You make sure everybody else in the class is paying attention now, because you're going to all get your turn soon.
Can we pull this thing up?
You could try to if you'd like. It's kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think we. Oh, we're doing it oral, I think we're.
You can do it any
you
way
can
you'd
just
like.
you can just orally tell the class.
Well, on Thanksgiving, we both travel to our family's house and enjoy a feast type meal.
Good, very good. Anything in specific that you might eat on Thanksgiving?
Stuffing,
Stuffing,
turkey,
good.
deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs. That might be unique to your family, as mine doesn't eat deviled eggs with it. Very
Sweet
good.
potatoes, mashed potatoes.
Scallop corn.
Yeah.
See, we have some things that are the same, some things that are different. This great tradition, but there's some variation on what your customs are within your specific families.
That's good. Well, every family is unique.
We both go to the Pancake Speedway on Fridays during August to see our favorite racer, Dusty.
Oh, very nice.
That's something you guys share in common, being both 11-year-olds from the same area. So that's very good. It's not, that's very normal to share traditions, and good. It's good to have things like that you can share with your families and close friends.
Does anybody else in the class share these traditions as well? Very good. I also share these traditions. Nice job, guys. Take a
Good.
seat.
Thank you.
Very good work. Now the rest of the groups could take their turns.